Howdy partners, it's your old buddy the Reddit writer. Welcome back to the Reddit Ranch. Come in and sit a spell and listen to the mighty fine tales I gotta tell. Up first we have a story by a little lady that has to live with her mother-in-law who has a boyfriend. The problem is that the mother-in-law had her boyfriend spend the night without asking her. Wow, how dare the mother-in-law decide to let her boyfriend spend the night in her own house without checking with her daughter-in-law first. The nerve.
She has a stranger staying the night and didn't tell us. Small child in the house, I am so angry. We moved across country to be closer because she's getting older and my husband is her only child. We're currently staying with her temporarily while we're waiting to get into our own home, which has been very trying for me because she is generally an inconsiderate pain who has to have an opinion about literally every little thing and who is extremely passive-aggressive with me whenever my husband isn't around. I woke up about an hour ago and had this horrible feeling something isn't right. I realized my MIL's boyfriend is still here. That he is staying the night. With our 4-year-old asleep alone in another room, my MIL did not bother to mention or discuss with us the prospect of having this person sleeping under the same roof, someone who is a stranger to us, who we only met briefly for the first time tonight. I am fuming that she did not ask or tell me that this was going to be happening. This is not something I am remotely comfortable with. I would never have anyone who is a stranger to me sleeping under the same roof as my 4-year-old daughter, especially without me even being aware of it, and I'm completely outraged. Lying awake now, because I definitely won't be sleeping tonight, have a monitor in my daughter's room and I am considering going in there to sleep with her in her bed. Am I overreacting? This is her house, and I don't want to be unreasonable, but I feel physically sick that she's been this inconsiderate and feel completely disrespected. A big part of me wants to leave right now and find a hotel for the night, but I feel that would probably be overdramatic. My husband is downstairs awake and also fuming. He's going to handle it with her in the morning, but I have no idea what either of us is even going to say to her. Editing, so people understand I'm not saying that I think she needs to ask my permission to have someone stay in her home. I do expect to be asked if we would be okay with having someone we don't know stay the night when our small child is here, so that we can have an opportunity to make other arrangements. Thank you to everyone who's been offering their insight.
Well ma'am, here is a little more insight for y'all. I reckon the problem is, it's your mother-in-law's house. In her home, she is allowed to give her opinion on everything. She doesn't even really need to show anyone respect. It is, after all, her homestead. You, on the other hand, are guests, which means you have the option to mosey on along whenever y'all want. If you are truly uncomfortable, you and your husband, in order to protect your younging, should go to a hotel for the night. Then in the morning, y'all can have a talk with your mother-in-law, calmly, that moving forward, you'd like to be notified of any overnight guests that she's going to have, just so you can make other arrangements. Especially if it's someone y'all don't know. After all, if you don't know him or her, how are you supposed to trust him? When it comes to protecting your younging, whether or not your mother-in-law trusts him isn't the point. You have to be the one that trusts him, and you should never trust someone just because someone says you can. Well now partners, what do y'all reckon she should do about this here situation? What would y'all do in her boots? Let me know in the comments. Next we have one posted by a cowpoke that has an ex-wife who wants him to let her new step-kids take part in family traditions with him and their kids.
AITA for refusing to let my ex's stepchildren join my kids and I for some family traditions? Both me and my ex are 33, and we share 3 children. Alana, 10, Jonah, 8, and Callum, 7. My ex messed around on me 2 years ago and left to be with her new partner who is now her husband. She and I share custody of our children, 50-50 timeshare, while they have full custody of her husband's 2 children from his previous marriage that ended with the affair as well. I was always an active dad in our kids' lives, and we had our own little traditions, from baking brownies the day before they go back to school and having a little brownie party, to baking cookies for their birthdays and letting the birthday kid pick what kind we make, to doing a group photo for Halloween every year with our costumes and doing silly faces, and our Christmas shopping day where I take the kids and we make a day out of buying the gifts. We go out to eat, get photos taken, sing Christmas songs in the car, etc. They might not be the most traditional traditions around, but I have done this for years with the kids. My ex asked our kids if we still did those things recently, and they said yes. She then told me I should include her stepkids in these sometimes, because our three are bonding during these experiences and are coming together as a group that doesn't include their step-siblings. Since her stepkids are not going to know our kids as step-siblings but will only know them as siblings, because of the age and the fact they are always with my ex and their dad, it would be cruel to let them be frozen out like that when I could help them bond. I told my ex I did not want to include her stepkids. I said she could come up with traditions for them to do as a family unit if she wants. But I am not going to be more involved with her unfaithful self or her partner than I need to be. I told her being civil for the kids is the best we can ever be, and there is no way I want to take responsibility or bond with her stepkids. She called me an AH and said I am putting my feelings before those of two young kids. She said it won't bother our kids at all because they'll always see the stepkids as interlopers, but two little kids will always feel like outsiders, and it will be my fault because I'm AD. She also accused me of being gleeful about the pain of kids. This is not true at all, but she thinks that my having this boundary is me rubbing my hands together like a cartoon villain. AITA?
Let me get this straight, son. She stepped out on you, left you and married her new stallion who has a few youngings of his own, and now she's mad because you don't want to include her stepkids in y'all's life? Have I got that right? Jumping Jehoshaphat, no, you're not a sidewinder. Her stepkids are not your problem. I reckon y'all don't need to include, or even care about her stepkids. After all, how much concern did she have for her own kids when she was messing around? I don't know about you partners, but personally, I think the ex-wife needs to start a new family tradition of her own. Like maybe, not messing around on her spouses. Anyway, what do you think he should do? What would you do if you were him? Let me know down below. Our next one involves a little filly that kicked her cousin out of her wedding because the cousin didn't think the rules were meant for her. Well, you know what they say, if y'all play stupid games, y'all win stupid prizes.
AITA for kicking my cousin out of my wedding? I'm 28, and I was getting married, and I wanted everything to be perfect, so I had some rules. One of the important rules was not bringing kids to my wedding for various reasons. They could destroy the deco, and what would I even do if they got hurt? When I told my family and guests about this rule, they all seemed to understand except for my cousin who's 30. She said I was being rude, and this was a way to not make her come to the wedding because I knew how clingy her kids are. Her kids are 3 and 4. I simply told her no, I want my family to be there, but no kids. She still made a fuss out of it and asked me why I didn't book a kids area. A kids area was out of our budget, so it was definitely no. I told her if she can't come it's okay, I understand. The wedding day came, and I didn't expect her to come, but she did, and she came with her 2 kids. I immediately rushed her out of my wedding and told I wasn't going to take this kind of disrespect. This made a whole scene delaying my wedding for 15 minutes because a 30-year-old woman who couldn't follow simple rules. Some of the family thinks I'm AH, but some think I did the right thing.
No ma'am, y'all ain't a sidewinder. You set down a rule, and y'all's cousin thought that she was so entitled that she could just ignore it, and I reckon she paid the price. And you making it younging free is your choice and ain't even a big ask. I mean, it is pretty common nowadays. In some cases, the kids can come to the ceremony but not the reception, which I totally agree with. Receptions can be a mite bit rowdy at times. So partners, do y'all reckon she did the right thing by kicking her cousin out? Or would you have let her stay? Let me know what y'all think. Our last story is about a young man who has a brother whose house was damaged by flooding, so he invited him and his whole family to stay at his house. Everyone, that is, except his niece. I know, it sounds pretty harsh, but trust me, I reckon he has a mighty fine reason to make that decision.
AITA for letting my brother and family stay with me after a flooding but not my niece? I'm 37, and I have been married to my husband for 4 years. I came out to my family as bi when I was 16, and from the very beginning, they were nothing but supportive, and to this day, almost my entire family accepts me as who I am. My niece, who's 20, is the only exception. She is my brother's daughter, and despite her parents showing no prejudices against the LGBTQ+ community, she doesn't make a secret of her homophobia. I don't know where her beliefs stem from, but the day I first introduced my husband, then boyfriend, to her family, she has been very hostile towards us. She was 14 at the time. She refuses to speak to my husband, barely acknowledges us at family gatherings, and despite her father constantly chastising her, frequently uses bad words to refer to members of the LGBTQ+ community and calls our relationship disgusting. Due to a severe flooding, my brother and his family have been forced to evacuate their house. My husband and I have a guest room and a sofa bed in our living room, so when my brother asked me whether his family could stay at our place for a while, I told him that him, his wife, and their younger children, who are 15 and 12, were very welcome to stay as long as they needed to, but that we weren't comfortable letting his oldest daughter stay with us. He seemed to have been expecting that answer and told me that he understood my reasons. When he broke the news to his daughter, she was furious, asking where else she was going to stay and that she had nowhere else to go. From what I know, my brother offered to help her pay for a cheap hotel, but she doesn't want to dip into her savings because she doesn't work and she's been living with my brother rent-free. Apparently, she's been staying with a friend for a few days now, and she's been telling her mother how awful it is there. My brother is still supporting my decision, but his wife has started trying to convince me to let her eldest daughter move in. She's been pushing me to get over her comments because my niece is still young and naive, and that she couldn't have known her actions would have major consequences. She's advising me to be the bigger person and not let my hard feelings for her daughter stop me from helping a family member, because that would be an thing to do.
Nah son, y'all ain't a sidewinder. As for your niece, well, let's face it, sometimes calling someone a sidewinder ain't an insult, it's just an accurate description. The way she has been treating y'all and your husband is mighty disgusting, and now she is paying the price. As for her being young and naive, oh please. She's 20. She ain't even considered a younging no more. I might have cut her a break if it started, and ended, when she was 14, but it hasn't. God help any of her future kids that may come out to her as gay or bi. Well now, doesn't his niece sound like such a little charmer? Anyway, what would you do, partners? Would you allow her to stay, or would y'all just tell her to take her homophobic hiney to the Ramada Inn? Just comment down below. Well, I plumb reckon that's all the time we got today, but if y'all like this here video, then please, hit like and subscribe, it'll really make this old cowpoke smile. And if y'all got anything to say, then feel free to tell me what's on your mind down in the comments. Until y'all come back to the Reddit Ranch. Adios.